think, I mean, in the case of Montcalm East and I guess the Montcalm organisation, you know, they've got a successful track record of running a number of very successful independent hotels, and I think what was important for the owners particularly was not to lose that, and I think that's why a brand like Autograph works perfectly. It's a soft brand, and I think that is the best way to bring an independent brand into a larger organisation. And what that means is that we have complete flexibility with the identity and the personality of the brand, which is really important to us. But at the same time, you've got that robust support in the background that a company or a large corporation like Marriott can bring us with things like the loyalty program, you know, distribution and that sort of thing. That really supports us. Even some of the background processes. Obviously, Marriott are you know, have got thousands of hotels around the world, so they've got enormous amounts of best practice that we can tap into as well. But the important thing really is to maintain that identity, and that's what Autograph does. Autograph is described as a brand of brands, and every single Autograph is completely unique, and we're no different. And I think that's really what worked really well for Montcalm East, is that we were able to sort of put our own story together and have control over our standards and the way that we deliver guest experience. I mean, obviously for our industry, enormously with the pandemic. I mean, we've been very fortunate that we've Montcalm as an organisation has had its own protocols, which are at a very high level, but we've also been able to incorporate Marriott's commitment to clean protocols as well, which have also been fantastic. So we've sort of had two areas really to focus on. But yeah, I mean, they have been tested. I mean, the expectation now, or the focus now, is much more on cleanliness, on safety. I think that the challenge, particularly now that we've been sort of operating in this environment for a best part of a year now, or you know, just under a year, is how do you incorporate these changes and standards to create a safe environment, but at the same time, how do you ensure that doesn't impact actually a great hotel stay? And I think maybe at the very beginning, when hotels first started to reopen in the summer of 2020 in the UK, I think the tendency was to sort of just take everything out of the bedroom, you know, and it almost became a little bit sparse, and everything was removed. And I think the feedback from guests was that we're still paying for a hotel experience. We don't really want you to impact that. So it's about finding that balance between, right, how do we keep it safe and clean and to the absolute high standards, and that will always be the #1 priority. But at the same time, how do you ensure that the experience is not affected by that, and that people still feel like they're getting value for money as well when they're paying, you know, for an experience, especially at the moment when the majority of our guests are here on leisure. They've been locked up for the last year. They're trying to get out of the house. They're trying to almost get away from you know, hearing about the pandemic over and over again. So we have to be quite careful with that, and certainly that's something that when we opened, we were not open last year. We've opened in 2021. I think people are a bit more used to the way that you know, we have to act now, whether it's social distancing and washing your hands and all these sorts of things. That we've been quite considered in the way that we give that message to guests. You know, rather than putting huge danger warnings everywhere, we've been a little bit more subtle with it. But at the same time, we have to make sure that we're maintaining that focus on cleanliness and hygiene. I mean, at the moment, the majority of our business is leisure-based. There's not a great deal of corporate travel at the moment. So really, those leisure people, I mean, as I said to you before, they are, they've been in lockdown for the most part of the last 12 months, and I think people are just looking to get away. We're having people checking in who live, you know, 2 blocks down the road, because they just want to get out of the house. So I think a bit of an escape, to be honest with you, from whether it's from the kids or whether it's just from constant rolling news about COVID. We're lucky that we've got a great spa here, a really beautiful swimming pool, and I think that's definitely an attraction for a lot of guests, is that they can come here and they've really got, you know, they've got great food and beverage, they've got a great bedroom experience, but equally we've got the spa as well, which in the centre of London isn't that common, so we're very lucky to have that, and that's definitely drawn a number of people here. Obviously our location as well being in Shoreditch, although nightlife has been somewhat suppressed because of for obvious reasons, there are still lots of places that people can go out, whether it's, you know, great bars and restaurants. So our location really plays into that as well. So we get a lot of guests that are staying, that they want to actually leave the hotel, but they want to use the local area but have us as a base. In terms of business travel, we haven't seen a huge amount. I think that we obviously hope that will come back sooner rather than later once travel corridors open up with particularly international travel. Yeah, I mean, we highly expect that a lot of the focus, particularly for the large organisations, will be on cleanliness and ensuring that when they're sending their employees to stay in our hotels, that they're safe, that they're clean, and that's really going to be our big focus. I think back to your earlier question, I think another thing that's key for both leisure and business, but particularly leisure, is flexibility when booking as well. So we're seeing a lot more success with having rates available that are flexible, that can be cancelled and adjusted, versus those that actually prepay and get the cheaper rate. People actually are willing to, they want that flexibility because no one really knows what's around the corner, so that's definitely a key thing. Yeah, I think, I mean, I'd say maybe not forever, but I think definitely, yeah, for the foreseeable future, I think that flexibility is going to be, I think this really sent a real shock through our industry, but not just our industry, but actually people's travel plans in general. You know, if you particularly leisure, you look at holidays and flights and all these sorts of things, and obviously I think there was a lot of flexibility shown by a number of companies in the early part of the pandemic, despite maybe contractually maybe they didn't need to. I think a lot of flexibility was shown, but I think certainly going forward, I think that is going to be important, and yeah, we'll obviously be keeping that out there for as long as we need to. So I guess our main narrative, where we're located, sort of in between Shoreditch and Clerkenwell, it used to be filled with photographic studios. So in the 80s and 90s, this was the sort of photographic centre of London, if there was one. But it was filled with these old warehouses that were vacated by industry. These photographers came in and they used them as studios. So we really wanted to tap into that heritage, although a lot of that no longer exists. There is still some, but a lot of that has moved on. There's more tech and startups that are in this area now. We wanted to really use that as our main caveat for what Montcalm East is all about. We've then broadened that since then to really embrace the creativity of the neighbourhood that we're in. Shoreditch, Hoxton is very well known for its creative residents and people that work here, and there's a lot of craft in the area. So we've got a number of things that I guess play into that. So I mean the interior design of both the rooms but also the public areas have got a loose nod, I guess, to the photography world, whether that's with some of the light fittings and that sort of thing. There's a number of things that obviously the outside of the building is very striking. It's probably one of the most iconic, if not the most iconic building in the area. We've tried to bring that onto the inside as well with our illuminated walkway that we've got that really plays with your eyes. We've also got some other features. So we have our photo lab experience. So that's every autograph has to have a mark. So that's a signature moment for guests to enjoy. And our mark experience is our photo lab. So that's where guests can they can book this space, the photo lab, and they can bring what otherwise are forgotten digital images on their mobile phones. They can actually use some kit that we've got from Polaroid to actually print those images on Polaroid pictures, and it's about taking that digital memory that's probably forgotten and turning it into a physical memory. Plus we have a really cool signature cocktail list that's just for this experience, that's inspired by local creatives. So it's a bit of fun, but particularly for our leisure travellers, it's a nice experience for them to play, really. That's the main thing. But on top of that, to I guess drive more authenticity to our brand, we've also partnered with a university, Ravensbourne University, who are one of the leading photographic colleges in London. And we will actually have a photographer here, based here in a purpose-built photo studio, and they will work from here throughout the year, and guests will be able to drop in and speak to them, get photographic advice, see what they're doing. The photographer will also be doing master classes, photo tours of the local area and that sort of thing as well. So again, that's just taking for the more serious photographers, not necessarily the sort of ones using their phones, but the more serious photographers, gives them a great experience as well. So there are two areas that sort of play into the whole photographic thing. But also the art in the hotel. We've got some fabulous art. We worked with a fantastic art consultant called Anne Rogers, who has a company called Culture A, and she really took the premise of what Montcalm East was about and really went for it, which was great. So we've got projections, we've got murals that were done by local artists, we've got framed scarves in parts of the hotel, we've got art on our lift lobbies that were made by robots. So we've got art everywhere, and actually guests can, when they check in, they'll be invited to take a self-guided art discovery tour. We've actually put little cards next to each piece. They can use a QR code and they can find out a little bit more about what they're looking at. So just a few touches here and there that just make an ordinary hotel stay a little bit different. I mean, there's no doubt that there's been, I mean, you take Marriott and the other large brands are doing the same thing, is that these softer brands definitely seem to be seeing huge growth. I mean, Autograph collection is not even that old really, and I think we're on our number, because we will get an official number, is number 225. So they've seen enormous growth, and I think what's attractive to owners is that, especially if you're already an established independent hotel, that it's relatively, I don't want to say straightforward, but it's easier to fit within an Autograph brand than maybe some of the stronger, very brand-led brands, because they're all unique, and they're supposed to be unique, and I think that's quite exciting. I think it gives you more control over your brand as well. So you've got a lot more input in how you deliver that experience. And I think that's a big thing. Whether we see more and more of those, I don't know. I think there'll always be a place for an independent hotel. I mean, Montcalm as an organisation is all independent hotels, and they're very, very successful, and they work very, very well. And I think that a lot of it's going to be dictated by the owners and what their priorities are, and what markets they're trying to get into.